Austerity champions no more. Germany, Netherlands and Austria are facing a warning from Brussels for high budget spending.
Russia launched a record number of 188 drones towards Ukraine in an overnight blitz.
As Russia trains North Korean troops along the Ukrainian border, MEPs reaffirmed EU support for Kyiv's forces.
US President Joe Biden said the deal brokered between Israel and Hezbollah that aims to achieve a 60-day ceasefire is designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities.
Good afternoon. For the next 60 days, the Lebanese army and state security forces will deploy and take control of their own territory once again. Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure in southern Lebanon will not be allowed to be rebuilt. And over the next 60 days, Israel will gradually withdraw its remaining forces.
Biden thanked France's President Emmanuel Macron for his partnership in reaching the deal and said they would work together to provide assistance to ensure its successful implementation. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that they would respond strongly to any violation of the proposed ceasefire deal.
אנחנו שומרים על חופש פעולה צבאי מלא. אם חיזבאללה יפר את ההסכם וינסה להתחמש, אנחנו נתקוף. אם הוא ינסה לחדש תשתיות טרור בסמוך לגבול, אנחנו נתקוף.
Shortly after Biden's announcement, an Israeli airstrike shook the Lebanese capital of Beirut, and at least 24 people were killed in strikes across the country in the day leading up to the deal. Hezbollah had also been firing rockets, triggering air raid sirens across the north of Israel. The agreement does not affect Israel's war in Gaza, but Biden expressed hope that the ceasefire would be a catalyst to also reach an agreement between Israel and Hamas.
Germany, the Netherlands and Austria, the usual champions of austerity in the EU, are now being targeted by the European Commission for their high spending. A change that has not gone unnoticed by Economy Commissioner Paola Gentiloni.
Yes, there are some rigid rules, but honestly, I'm not the one that wanted them. So if there are strict rules, in several cases, these strict rules were asked by, I'm not addressing my finger to anyone, but someone asked for these stricter rules.
Brussels believes Germany's budget plan is not entirely in line with expenditure ceilings. An opposition MEP points to the country's current situation as one of the causes.
But now we see that we have problems in innovation, that we have problems with investments, and that's the reason why Germany goes into an economic crisis.
But while some are being singled out, those traditionally in the spotlight, such as southern European countries, are now on the opposite side. Although France, with a deficit double that allowed by the EU, has presented a plan that is too austere, says a Social Democrat MEP.
C'est une véritable politique d'austérité qui est proposée par la France, va entacher la croissance de la France, mais donc aussi celle de l'Union européenne. Donc je ne pense pas, en effet, la France ne fait pas les bons choix.
After a pause due to the pandemic, this is the first time that the fiscal rules have been reactivated after being reformed.
Russia launched almost 200 drones towards 17 regions in Ukraine in an overnight blitz, marking the record number of drones fired by Russia in a single attack. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that while most of the drones were shot down, the shelling damaged apartment buildings and critical infrastructure such as a national power grid.
Майже 200 російських дронів проти України за добу – це майже 200 доказів, що російські бажання вкрай далекі від будь-яких ідей про справжній мир.
In many regions, efforts are still underway to address the aftermath of the drone strikes. Zelensky also said a rescue operation was underway in the Sumy region after an attack on an auto repair shop killed 2 people. Meanwhile, in a rare official acknowledgement, Moscow said that long-range missiles launched by Ukraine damaged infrastructure and injured several servicemen in Russia's Kursk region. Speaker of the Russian State Duma, Vyacheslav Volodin, urged the West to refrain from escalating tensions as it could ultimately harm the citizens of Europe.
Надо прекращать создание напряжения и скатывание в пропасть, что происходит из-за действий и решений Байдена, Макрона, Шольца и им подобных.
Volodin also said that the new Oreshnik ballistic missile was necessary to protect Russian citizens.
MEPs reaffirmed their strong support for Ukraine, condemning the military cooperation between Russia and North Korea during a debate at the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Leaders have called on the EU to step up Ukrainian support politically, financially, militarily, and with humanitarian aid.
We know that the current level of assistance remains insufficient to tilt the situation on the battlefield in Ukraine's favor. We know that Russia has put its entire economy on a wartime footing and counts on the military backing of North Korea and Iran, as well as the substantial support provided by China. We need to step up our assistance.
European countries have been discussing plans to boost defence investments in Ukraine for months, with uncertainty surrounding the incoming US administration and its support to Kyiv under President-elect Donald Trump growing.
French Prime Minister Michel Barnier might lose his seat due to a controversial budget move. He argues that 40 billion euro in spending cuts and 20 billion euro in tax hikes are needed to reduce the country's debt spiral, which is over double the EU limit. However, lawmakers from other parties have refused to back his measures, meaning Barnier would need to use a constitutional clause to forcibly pass it until December 21st. This could lead to a no-confidence vote, which left-wing politicians have threatened, and members of the far-right National Rally also warned they would back the vote unless budget changes were made. Marine Le Pen disagrees with the tax increase, but wants cuts to medical aid for migrants and bureaucracy.
With just under 5 months to go, preparations are well underway for the Osaka World Expo 2025. Delegates from around the world met in Paris on Tuesday to discuss the latest developments and find solutions to the different challenges encountered. The World Expo is one of the oldest and largest international events.
Osaka 関西万博がやってきます。テーマは命輝く未来社会のデザイン。
More than 160 countries will present their latest innovations next year in Japan. But with only around 7.3 million tickets sold as of November, Japanese authorities hope to bolster their communication strategy to attract more European visitors.
それぞれ国や考え方、価値観は違いますけれども、この命輝く未来社会のデザインのための解決策をここで示すということになります。おそらくグリーンエネルギーであったり、その気候変動であったり、そういったこと、さまざまな課題解決の出展がヨーロッパからも多くあると思いますけれども、ぜひヨーロッパの国々の皆さんとも共有したい、そしてまたぜひヨーロッパの皆さんにですね、この大阪で日本で万博があるんだということを広めていただけたらと思います。それが広がってないのが課題の一つでもあります。
The governor of Osaka announced Ukraine will be participating in next year's Expo despite Russia's full-scale invasion. Moscow withdrew from the event last year. Organizers hope the World Expo will bring unity at a time of global instability and conflict.
Expos are an apolitical gathering of countries, and it's also a non-confrontational gathering of countries. It's a possibility for the world to come together, to try and talk together, and to have a dialogue. And I think that one of the things we notice especially in the last few years, in the different geopolitical context that we have and the problems that have been arising all over the world, is that we need a place for dialogue. We need somewhere where the world can come together and where, for once, perhaps we don't let our differences separate us, but we let our differences bring us together.
The Osaka World Expo will take place from April to October next year and aims to welcome an estimated 28 million visitors.
This exhibition is special because it's the first time we can see the wholeness of Tove Jansson's or all public artworks that she has ever made. It is the jubilee year of the first Moomin book, as we know, the Moomins and the Great Flood, and this theme kind of connects it to this exhibition, and we have also here animation from the first book.